welcome to the deep dive. So many of us are kind of wondering about this, aren't we? That next car, should it be electric? Or maybe, still have some petrol involved? Today, we're diving deep into that exact question, hybrid versus electric cars. Our mission, really, is to cut through the marketing stuff, the sheer volume of info out there, and actually help you figure out which one might be the right fit for your driving life. It can feel like just information overload trying to choose, right? Okay, so let's unpack this. First off, when we talk about hybrid cars, what actually defines them? And maybe more importantly, what are the key differences between the types?
What's really interesting here is that a hybrid fundamentally uses both fuel, petrol or diesel and a battery. But the real distinction, is how they manage that power. Some are self-charging hybrids, HEVs. These ones, they generate their own charge as you drive, mostly through regenerative braking, capturing that energy when you slow down.
Right, energy that's usually just lost.
Exactly. And the petrol engine can act as a generator too. The key is you never plug them in. Then you've got plug-in hybrids or PHEVs. These can be plugged in.
Okay.
And that gives them a decent electric-only range, often like 20 to 50 miles maybe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which can be plenty for a lot of daily commutes just on electricity before the petrol engine even needs to think about starting.
That really paints a clear picture of how they work. And based on what we've looked at, hybrids seem to strike a good balance in certain situations. They seem better for, say, long drives where range might be a concern, or maybe in areas where charging stations aren't quite everywhere yet. That fuel backup is key there.
Absolutely. And the benefit is pretty tangible. You get, moderate fuel savings and definitely fewer emissions compared to a standard petrol or diesel car, but without that constant worry about finding a charger on a long trip.
Range anxiety. Yeah.
Exactly. And something often overlooked. They can be surprisingly efficient in stop-start city traffic. The electric motor takes over more often than, sometimes even beating petrol cars for economy in town.
That's a great point about city driving, actually. It's something I hadn't really considered. Okay, let's switch gears a bit, because this is where it gets, really interesting. Electric vehicles.
Yeah.
EVs. What's the absolute core difference with EVs? How does that change the whole experience?
The core difference, it's pure simplicity in a way. EVs run completely on electricity. No fuel tank, no engine like we know it, no exhaust pipe, zero tailpipe emissions.
Right.
Which means, of course, they must be charged, either at home, maybe overnight, or using a public charging station. It's a whole different way of fueling up.
And for the driver, day to day, there seem to be some big upsides. They're generally cheaper to run, aren't they? I've heard things like charging at home, off-peak, can be like paying $1 a gallon for gas kind of thing. And maintenance. Is it really as low as people claim?
It generally is, yeah. Very low maintenance because there are just far fewer moving parts. Think about it. No oil changes, no spark plugs, no complex exhaust systems or transmissions to service. Over the life of the car, that can genuinely save you thousands. So because of all that, EVs are often best for city driving, for people who can easily charge them, and they really appeal to the eco-conscious driver who wants, zero emissions from the car itself during their commute.
Okay, so bringing this all together then, what does this actually mean for you listening right now? How do you make that choice, hybrid or EV, given everything we've just talked about?
Well, what's fascinating, I think, is that there's no single best car. It really, truly depends on your specific needs, your life. If you're doing frequent long hauls, maybe driving between cities regularly for work, or if you live somewhere where charging points are still pretty sparse, then honestly, a hybrid is probably the more practical, less stressful option for you right now. It gives you that flexibility.
Safety net of the petrol engine.
Exactly. But on the other hand, if your driving is mostly short trips, daily commutes, mainly in town, and crucially, if you have easy access to charging, like at home overnight or reliably at work or nearby, then an electric car is likely your best bet.
Makes sense.
Not just for the environment, but those running cost savings are significant too. It really boils down to your driving patterns and your charging situation.
So the main takeaway seems pretty clear then. Choosing between hybrid and electric, it really hinges on your specific lifestyle, how you drive day to day, and, maybe most critically, how easily you can access charging. It's about matching the tech to your actual life.
Precisely. And this raises an important question, maybe something for you to think about. As charging networks get better and better, which they are doing quite rapidly, and battery tech keeps improving, faster charging times, longer ranges becoming standard, how might those changes affect which car is best in the near future? What does that mean for your next car decision, maybe, say, 3 or 5 years down the line?
Definitely some food for thought there. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.